Next up, for more than 70 years, White Stadium at Franklin Park has been used by the Boston Public Schools, but over the years it's slowly deteriorated, and now it is in desperate need of repair. That's why the city is teaming up with the group behind a new professional women's soccer team, the Boston Unity, to completely renovate and then share the stadium. Mayor Michelle Wu says Boston schools will still have plenty of access, but a group of local activists and advocates argue that Wu is effectively trying to privatize a public space, and they are suing the city to try to stop the deal. I'm joined now by two of them, Elisa, co-founder and former president of the Franklin Park Coalition, and Renee Stacey Welch, a longtime JP and Roxbury resident. Thank you both for being here. Renee,
Thank you.
Let me start with you. From your vantage point, why is Mayor Wu's plan for the stadium a bad idea?
I think it's a bad idea because I think it's going to basically stop the community from using the park. When you look at the development and you look at not just the stadium, but how far outside of that stadium walls that they're going to build this soccer team or group, I think it's going to basically hinder the amount of time that we use our park. And I think furthermore, if you look at the Boston school systems, I don't think the kids are going to get the amount of time that they say they're going to get, because there's no way it's just going to be soccer. It's going to be every other thing that they can think of to put into that space. You
anticipate that there will be other private uses beyond soccer that the stadium will be used for. That's your...
Correct.
Now, has the mayor... why do you think that?
$30 million just for soccer? There's going to be other things happening there. So when they say that it is 20 weekends a month for games, what about the practices? People come and watch practices. So that's another 20, so that's 40. Then you have to think about concerts. These are things that are going to happen in this space.
Elisa, let me go to you, and I want to make sure that I get the price tag right here. Is it $80 million total that we're talking about?
$80 million is what's been proposed. $50 million by the Boston Public Schools, the mayor's office, and $30 million by the soccer league.
Yes. So why do you think it's a bad idea?
Well, we don't have to guess. They've said that they're going to use the White Stadium for other activities other than just soccer. And because the way they've positioned it, we don't know what the Boston Public Schools is going to do. The neglect that has taken place in the stadium, particularly that's in Franklin Park, has been by the Boston Public Schools and the public facilities for over 35 years. They failed to keep it up. They failed to repair it when it was broken. And they failed to, in a sense, support athletics in the Boston Public Schools. So we know it's going to be used in the concerns of the residents in the community and those who like Franklin Park because of its historic basis. They're concerned that what other activities are going to take place may change the quality of access and use for Franklin Park.
So one thing that I'm hearing here, which I think deserves to be stressed, is that you're not only concerned about access for Boston public school students, although that's a concern of yours. You feel like the community's access to the park is at stake here, right?
Well, the residents of Jamaica Plain, who we met with along with Ben Weber, their city council, the other night, there were about 30 in the room, and they raised concerns about how do they get to the playground, how do they move around the areas that are being built out on the east side of the campus of the stadium, and what goes on during game days. So the issue is not just game days and the practice days that they've now acknowledged, but the other activities that are going on.
Renee, I want to get you to weigh in on what the mayor is saying as she makes the case for this plan. Here she is on our show, Boston Public Radio, a few days ago.
The number of hours that Boston Public School students will be able to use White Stadium is just going to be exponentially more. It will more than triple. The number of hours that football will use the stadium may actually end up being the same or even more than it is right now, because we will have the capacity to host home end-of-season games for all of the teams in the district, not just for the home games for the two of them here. The impact of having a stadium with functional plumbing and locker rooms and the seating that can create an experience that will be worth more than trying to just tie together some of the loose threads. And
are you meeting with...
So proponents, including the mayor, have talked about a new soccer field that students are going to be able to use, an expanded track, a rebuilt grandstand, new locker rooms, handicapped accessibility, and everything that we just heard there. That doesn't entice you at all?
The stadium has to be renovated. It must be renovated for our kids. She did say something about football. They've already said that football can't be played on this field because the rough and tumble of the cleats and things of that nature.
For the natural
it's bad.
Grass
so she just
until
said,
the end of the soccer, women's professional
Right,
soccer.
but then what happens in November? Who wants to play football what students are going to play football in December, January, February on that field. So the time that our kids are going to have access to it, it's not the beautiful weekends and weekdays of the good weather.
Just a little bit at the very end, and you don't think that's enough?
No, I don't.
Okay. Louis, can you explain what happened last month? You had gone to a judge asking for a temporary restraining order to basically halt work on this project. The judge didn't go along with that, and the city is claiming that as a major victory, saying it essentially shows that there aren't sound legal grounds for the suit that you're bringing. Do you still believe that there are sound legal grounds, even though the judge rejected that request?
Most certainly, and judges made mistakes before. I'm a victim of Judge Scott's decisions, and other decisions in the past have been made, legal decisions that have not been best for the people that they made decisions against. The decision was against the community and not against any conservancy or any group. We asked them to halt any demolition or destruction in Franklin Park, and particularly at White Stadium, until there could be a complete review by the Landmark Commission and other groups who says that these places should not be moved. The other piece is that they've never given us a full explanation from the city's part, for the Boston Public Schools, as what the new design would look like. So the extra 3 acres that they're taking to expand on, we as a community don't know how that will be used on our behalf.
You mentioned the Landmarks Commission. Probably worth noting that the head of the Landmarks Commission has been removed by Mayor Wu, and that the entire Landmarks Commission volunteer board sent this letter expressing concern about review processes in the city, focusing on, at least at the beginning of their letter, this particular project, right?
Yes.
Was that a big deal?
Of course it was. I think for me, it shows that, so someone spoke out against this. Somebody, like the Landmarks Commission said that this doesn't work. These are the problems. These are the things that we see problematic with what you're doing, and all of a sudden someone is terminated. That makes no sense to me. Why wasn't that person able to keep their job and be able to share their concerns with what's happening in our city and these beautiful public assets that we have? So that's a little concerned, but it's not the first time for the mayor, right? Even on this development, she said, if we don't let this go, what happens to the $50 million? She says it's off the table. We don't get it.
Right.
That's alarming. That's alarming.
Joan Vanacki of the Boston Globe wrote a column a day or two ago in which she said, her argument effectively is, this is another example of Mayor Wu deciding that she's going to make a particular policy, take a particular action, and then trying to get community buy-in after the fact. Do you agree with that? Of
course. I mean, you see that all over the city. If you look at many developments that are coming, the Blue Hill Ave, the development to put these bus lanes on Blue Hill Ave, you've decided you're already going to do it. It's already done, and no matter what people say, we're still going to do it. Same thing with several other things. You look at the Columbus Ave bus lanes. Even if you look, the only thing I can think to say that the city won on was not moving the O'Brien to West Roxbury. She just basically said, yeah, I'm not going to do that, but that's because people fought. Not because she thought it was the right thing to do, but because people fought against it.
Louis, I want to read a statement from Boston Unity Soccer Partners and get you to react to what they have to say in regards to your lawsuit. Their statement that they provided us said in part, as indicated by the judge's ruling last month, which we've discussed, there's no legal basis to challenge this public-private community partnership. The Emerald Necklace Conservancy sentiments are not consistent with the feedback we've heard from neighbors, civic leaders, community groups, and elected officials in our more than 180 meetings and conversations since starting this process over a year and a half ago. 180 meetings sounds like a robust community engagement process. I'm wondering what it has looked like from your vantage point.
I would think a statement of that nature would start with once upon a time, because it's a fable. They haven't had 180 meetings. They've had sessions and activities taking place. I've been to about 20 meetings that they've had throughout the community in Dorchester, Roxbury, Mattapan, and Jamaica Plain. In each of the meetings, the people have said their concerns. The concerns is that the Boston Soccer League wants to come in and bring privatization. The $30 million they want to spend is to put jumbotrons to put in privatization for their fans and people who come in. But it's not necessarily to help the students. I don't think the students are going to have access to the whole stadium. I don't think they're going to be on the side where they have their offices and their box offices and they have their business space. I think that what they're doing is being a bit disingenuous. But understand, from the beginning, the community, especially Garrison Trout and some of the others, we've been more than willing to look and work with them to try to make this process work. We've just asked them for clarity. We've asked them to be transparent in what they're going to do, because we still don't know what happens beyond the 20 games and the 20 practices, what's going to take place in the additional 3 acres that are being taken, and how the park is going to be affected during game days. And we are mirroring the concerns of the Boston Zoo, Franklin Park Zoo, which is going to be severely affected if they don't come up with a plan or a process. Transportation is not just the issue.
You mentioned to me before we started talking here that you feel like, and we have to wrap up unfortunately, you feel like the park is under siege, right?
Well, the park is under siege. We've got development coming from the west, which is Shattuck Hospital, which is a bad idea from the beginning, and I've worked with that for 8 years. This organization has been in place for less than a year, and I've worked with them from the very first meeting, and then there are other things that are happening. We need to make sure Franklin Park's and legacy, Olmsted's legacy, is not destroyed for just the mere fact of a dollar.
All right, we got to leave it there. Louis, Elisa, and Renee Stacey Welch, thank you both for being here.
Thank you
Thanks
for
for the
having us.
opportunity.